Hello guys, welcome back. I'm your friend InSXO. Today I'm going to introduce you an automation framework. The name for that is Prefect. On the one side, it says that it can automate all the things with the help of Python. On the other hand, it says that it can build a data science pipeline. That's exactly what we need if we want to be a data science or machine learning expert who can build products. Here's a simple example. It provides us. For example, we could from the perfect import task flow parameter, and then we define, let's say, one function called say hello. Then we start our flow. We give our flow a len, then we say the len equal to parameter len, and we say hello by giving that len to it, and in the end we run this flow by giving it a len. It sounds interesting, but can we use it in our local machine? Can we do that? If we want to do that, we need to at least install it first. So how can we install it? We could use the pip. Alright, then we do it with the pipe. Alright, after the installation, we shall run a local server and UI. Can we do that? The local server requires Docker and Docker Compose to be installed. I guess you guys already have the Docker and Docker Compose installed. If you don't, just install the two components, right? Once we have the Docker and the Docker Compose ready, we can go to the next step. Here I'm gonna run this command, prefect backend server, prefect backend server. So backend switched to server, right? This command will configure the prefect for local development or running, and it saves the configuration in this directory. Here we can say we got a configuration file in here. Then we want to start the server UI and all required infrastructure. So we run this command. Oh my god, we got an error. Oh, it says that permission denied. So for some reason, I don't know why, but it seems like whenever I want to run a Docker command or Docker Compose command, I will need to give it the root permission. In other words, I have to say sudo with the command. I don't know if it's a problem of mine or it's a problem for everyone who uses the Ubuntu. But if you want to run a Docker command, you have to give it the root permission. So let's do it. Okay, in this case, it says that prefect command not found. That could be a problem. That means that if we have to use it in a sudo permission, we probably also need to install this package with the sudo permission. Alright, then we do the configuration again with the sudo permission here. Then we run our server by giving it the sudo permission. Again, we got a permission error. That's quite strange. Permission denied for that. After I reset the permission of the Docker Compose file, we probably could start it again. And for this time, it's working as we expected. So the problem here is that you need to use the two commands here to reset the file's permission. Otherwise, you won't be able to make it work. And it is something like this. You say sudo with charm r InSXO. This is my userland. Could say something like this, InSXO with InSXO. Then temp Docker Compose. For you, the command should be this. Okay, now the server is running in this URL or this port. I say we could open it as some. Now all the components are running. You can view the UI by opening that URL. This URL is kind of deep, so we have to go to the 8080 port, get a different kind of view. Okay, for this view, as you can see, this is a UI for the server, for the prefect server. It looks pretty nice, but the problem is, what can I do with it? Okay, let's go to the first steps. Prefect is a tool for building dead workflows. Yeah, I know that, but how can we do that? Prefect refers to each step as a task. In a simple sense, a task is nothing more than a Python function. In fact, the easiest way to create a new task is just by decorating an existing function. Let's make a simple task and print out the hello world. Okay, let's just copy those code. And from here, I'm gonna say do.py file with this file inside inside of that. We run it, nothing happened. If we go to the UI, nothing happened. Couldn't see any task inputs and outputs. Prefect takes tasks can optionally receive inputs and produce outputs. For example, for function, we of course get inputs and we of course get outputs. Task classes. Sometimes you will need to design classes that are more complex than a single function. For this, you can subclass the prefect task class and implement the initialization function and the run function. Yeah. Alright. It's just something like this. Nothing complicated out there. Then let's go to the flow. In prefect, flows can be used to describe the dependencies between tasks, such as their order and how they pass data around. If tasks are like functions, then you could think of a flow as a script that combines them together. So for here, we have imported a keyword called flow, and with it, we say with flow as flow, and we can write a few functions into it. It's something like this. It's like a workflow or factory or something like that. It's a sequence of function execution. Once the flow has been created, we can execute it by calling flow.run. In this case, the result state is success, and we can also examine the state and result of each task. So for the run function, we can get a state, and we can assume that this state is successful or not. And we can also say if each task, for this one, this is a task, we can say if it's successful or not. Then the parameters. Sometimes it's useful to provide information to a flow at a runtime. Prefect provides a special task called a parameter for this purpose. Let's use a parameter to write a flow that says hello to someone. So here we have defined a parameter called len. Then we pass that parameter to a function or to a task, which means say hello. So in the end, the say hello will print out the variable len. So it's nothing, just I guess it's just another way to write the Python script. Imperative API, what is that? The functional API makes it easy to define workflows in a script-like style. Sometimes you may prefer to build flows in a more programmatic or explicit way. For this, we can use the Prefect's imperative API. For example, at the first, we define a flow, then we define the parameter, we define the function, and we can add this function to our flow as a task, and we do this again for the second function or second task. And in the end, we can set, for example, the say hello. We can say that the, let's say, second aid is the upstream of say hello, something like that. But I guess this is more, let's say, not obvious for us to say the relationship between each tasks. I would prefer the Python way, the script way. At least we are familiar with the programming with the script than this kind of thing. Okay, enough theory. Let's just have a look at this. Register any of your flows, they will register with your local backend. For example, we could call a function called flow register, then it will register this flow to the server, and in the server we could say it right in here. I was kind of not sure about this, so I'm going to write a function and do a test to say if it's working as we expected. So for now, if we got a task called say hello, and we got a flow called my first flow, and we give it a parameter, for example, person len, give it to the say hello function. In the end, we run this flow by giving it let's say by giving it a len. For example, the len would be inside. So I don't know if this is working or not. I'm gonna run it, and we got an error. Len flow is not defined. So we should at least import it from the prefect library. Now we could be able to run it or not. The len parameter is not defined, so we need to at least import the parameter. Now we run it again. It says that flow run did not receive the following required parameter, person len. That's interesting. So this string is very important. For example, we can say it's the person len, and now in the flow run, here I'm gonna say person len equal to index o Now if we run it again, perfect, we get the expected results. So we can say it prints out the hello inside. So awesome. But I was a little bit curious about it. If I replace this symbol to a space and we use the same code again, what would happen? We get nothing. Then how about we say person len like this? Will it work or not? It will not work. So we'd better write this string in a standard way so that we could use it as a variable len. And in this case, we run it successfully. Success. Okay. Okay. For now, if we go to the backend UI, we would say nothing. There has no flow at all. But if we do a register here, things can be a little bit different. So if now we do the register here, we get an error. Project len is required for registering a flow. So we need to give it a project len. Let's say it's just a test, so test 1, and we run it again. Project test 1 not found. Run perfect. Create project test 1 to create it. Oh my god. So let's just do what he said. We create a project len with this command sudo prefect pre-project with the len of test1. Boom. We got it right. We got a test1 created. Now if we go to our UI, we still see nothing. Now what if we do that register? Okay, we got it right. We go to the backend again. We shall say at least one flow, and we go to this flow. We would say something like this. When we go to the readme file, we got nothing. Go to the tasks, we can say basically one task here. Say hello, and we click into it. We would say a graph, just like this. So it indeed has a graph, right? And we click the wrong, nothing there. Go back. Let's go to the schematic. From there, we can also say the graph of it, and it's pretty awesome. So if we got a complex sequence of function, we should be able to say it clearly right in here, and we can probably run it by giving it some parameters. For example, the input, we could let's say we say hi the word, and we run it. Let's say what would happen. We run it from here. I guess here's a problem for it, because I didn't give it an agent. We should at least run this command to send an agent for it to be able to run or tasks or flows or something like that. Now we got an agent. For this case, we go back to our gaming, and you can say it's running success. Let's go to the logs. Oh yes, it's running successfully. For now, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got a 7 record. And but if we run it again, let's say we go to the run here. We say nobody, and we run it again. How can I say the logs? We go to the logs. We run it 2 times, so we got 2 flow runs. The problem is here. I just want to say the logs or the output from the running. Can I do that? Here we got 2 runs. Okay, that could be a problem. Let's go on, say if we can find the solution for it. Alright, let's forget about it. I guess it's does not important at all, because for the log it will only show you success for or not. It will not print out all those informations in from the console. Okay, let's go to the next steps. We want to learn more or not. I don't want to learn those things anymore. I just want to run an automation function, right? So we go to, let's say we go to the home page. So we can see here we got one flow, and here's a button called schedule, and we want to turn on this flow schedules. This flow is trying to schedule runs, but it has no schedules. Visit the flow settings schedules to set a new schedule. Okay, then let's go to the schedules section. I just want to learn this part of knowledge. Prefect assumes that flows can be run at any time for any reason. However, it is often useful to automate flow runs at a certain time. So that's why we got the schedules. For more detailed or complex schedules, Prefect provides a schedule object which allows for support data time adjustments and filtering, along with updating parameter values based on the scheduled time. From here, as you can see, we could from datetime import datetime data, and from prefect schedules import interval schedule. And in this, we define a schedule by calling this function, and we say the interval equal to datetime minutes equal to 2. That means we probably want to run this flow for every 2 minutes. And how do we do that? We pass that schedule to this flow. And yes, let's try it. But for this time, I don't want to say the minutes equal to 2. I want to say the seconds equal to 2, or maybe 10. For every 10 seconds, it run it again. Okay, for this case, I'll just register it again. We get an error. Flows with required parameters cannot be scheduled automatically. Is that true? So for this case, I'll just say predefine the length to InstaXO, and we run it again. Get an error. Intervals cannot be less than 1 minute when developing to the Prefect cloud. Cannot be less than 1 minute. Strange. Then how about we just set it to 1 and we register it. Now we go to our backend. For now, if we turn off this schedule and we turn it on again, it runs without any problems, no error. And for this case, it will say 10 upcoming runs for every 1 minute. So that's great. So it's kind of automation, I guess. For example, if you have created a Python script for fetching some contents from a website, you could set this kind of thing to grab information from that website for every, let's say, every 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that. And as you can see, this is a running for 1 running, 2 running, 3 running, and it will go on with a lot of running. So this is I guess this is a basic usage of the Prefect, and I guess it's already good enough for us to make some automation tasks or workflow with it, especially if it's related to the network or the data processing kind of stuff. Or of course, you could also use it to automatically send emails out or something like that. And guys, it's awesome. It's better, probably better than the Airflow, because if you are in the Airflow, you will have to manually set the upstream or something like that. It's kind of unobvious, you know. The best way for doing this kind of thing is to write a script that will be much more acceptable for those people who knows Python. And also, this is a new library. It got this many stars. That's good enough. And this is an repository that has people supported. It got a constant update. That's great. And it is based on the Docker and Docker Compose. So for the installation, it can be very simple. And also, it's used for, let's say, distributed computation. So for in theory, if you get one server, you could have multiple clients to run the tasks that we want. So it's scalable. And so far, as I could say, it doesn't require any registration or money related stuff. It doesn't require you to spend your money on it. So it's probably a free software. Okay, that's today's experiment with the Prefect framework for doing some automation with Python. I hope you enjoy this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!